that we haven't yet settled, because the commitment of the Council of Governors is to ensure that we're providing seamless service delivery to the people that elected us. Thank you once again, and thank you for making the time to be here.
Makofi. Now let me call upon the Cabinet Secretary for Health to make her remarks. I can see some governors would want to make some remarks. I can stand guided. So, the Chair of Health. Okay, let's hear from the Chair of Health in the Council of Governors.
Thank you very much, the government spokesperson. I want to support the remarks that have been made by our chair. On behalf of the Council of Governors, we are grateful also to all the parties involved, HOPES and CS Health, the KMPDU, and everyone else who was involved in these negotiations. We have burnt midnight oil, and we have worked overtime. Some of us have not been to our counties for a very long time, and I hope our constituents know where we've been. It's for the greater good for the country. And now we are happy that we can now be able to go back to our counties and be able to see the implementation also being discussed today. It is easy to put a signature on the paper. It is easy for KMPDU to just pick the mic and say we have called off a strike. But the real work begins now. The implementation of what we have agreed upon is the beginning of the journey to make sure that we never have any more of this and call for disagreements that lead to strike. For a beginning, we have a dire need for the health for people of Kenya because of the floods. Cholera has just struck in some parts of the country, and therefore what the KMPDU SG has said that the doctors can go back within 24 hours. The 24 hours should begin now. SG call out for duty. Health cannot wait. We'd even wish they can go back in the next few minutes because we really want our health to be back on track. On our behalf, we will continue engaging, as our chair said, with the remaining unions, that is Kenya National Union of clinic officers. We had agreed to meet them on Tuesday. We'll meet them, but we are hoping that because they've seen the goodwill that we have, and we mean good for them, they also can go back to work, and we'll continue negotiating as they work because we are available for them. Thank you.
Sure. Do you want to say something in the spirit of equity within the two levels of government? Karibu Mwalimu.
Thank you very much. I also would want to associate myself with the sentiments of my colleague, the Chair Health, and also our Chair COG. And I want to say that being a new chair in the Council of Governors and Labour, my commitment is to ensure that together with my colleagues, we will deal with all outstanding labor issues. And what we have exhibited through this strike is our willingness to engage, even when it is so difficult to do that. And I want to really appreciate that KMPDU has finally agreed to call off the strike. My message to all unions is that you can never solve the issues of workers in a single strike, because if you did, then we would need to disband all unions. And therefore, we need to now get down to work. We should now get down to work and do the very best we can. I'm saying that because the SG has called off the strike. I have no power to call off the strike. But I'm saying the SG has done that, and therefore I would want to call on the individual members, let us get back to work. May I end by saying I want to thank national government for its commitment towards this process. We have, we are joined at the hip. There are quite a number of things that we have to work together to ensure that we fulfill the dictates and the likes and the, of the agreement. Mine is to wish you all the very best and to say it's been a tough journey. I thank everyone who participated. Thank you very much.
Makofi. Before we move back to the national government, the chair, KMPD, would want to add some voice. Kindly let's move the microphone. The chair, KMPD, from, by demand from his members. He said he has to say something. And then we move to CS Nakumicha, who will also introduce the two CSS with her, who are very key. And then we return back to the head of public service. Then we close with the national anthem. So choir, be ready. So chair. Chair. Wacha aseme kwa sababu ya wake.
You're a bully, man.
Choir, be ready for the national head of public service. Gives the concluding remarks. Now let's listen to the chair of KMPD, Dr. Moch.
Thank you. I don't think there's anything much to say. I have never been of an opinion that in an industrial action which ostensibly involves the loss of lives, that there's any win. If at all there's any win, it's called a Pyrrhic victory. A Pyrrhic victory is a victory whereby, even though there's a medal at the end, the other side, the losses along the way are just too heavy to even celebrate that win. And since you've been here before, my word of play will be that we should never find ourselves in such a situation. And governments upon governments have been sitting on their able hands, and it takes the unique power of unions to put fire under their feet so that they jump into action. We should never get to such a position. There is no victory, because it's like a hostage situation. But since we had this circumlocution documentation and ended up with a document that we saw it fit to put pen to paper, speaking as a doctor and back Hippocrates oath, this is it. Should not happen again. Thank you.
That's a very great statement from a national leader. Now, we go to the CS. Madam CS, so that they can also represent the national government. And pole kwa majeruhi na maneno. Madam CS, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, the head of public service, my colleague cabinet secretaries, Cabinet Secretary for Labor, my sister Florence Bore, Cabinet Secretary for Public Service and Performance, Moses Kuria, my principal secretaries present here, and all principal secretaries present, the leadership of KMPDU, starting with the chair, Dr. Mwachi, the SG, Dr. Davji, and if I don't mention the deputy SG, he will feel bad, Dr. Miskela, and our chair for last night, who assisted us to make progress, Dr. Shisanya. all healthcare workers across the country, fellow Kenyans. After long and painstaking negotiations that ran into the wee hours of the night for many days, I am pleased that we are finally here. We have signed a return to work formula, and the union has called off the strike. The negotiations have been tough and protracted, and I want to give it to the doctors. I thought that I knew how to negotiate and bargain, but obviously they have been very good at this, better than myself. On several occasions, we came close and indeed thought that we had arrived at a deal, but it was not to be, and we kept the country waiting. However, I want to say last night, we all found a place in our hearts to agree. And this is testament to the apostle of Paul to the Philippians. And he said, do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility regard others as better than yourselves. Let each of you look not to your own interests, but to the interests of others. This agreement could not have come at a better time and without the commitment of all stakeholders involved. I want to sincerely thank the team from the Ministry of Health, my two principal secretaries, Principal Mary Mudhoni Muriuki, Principal Harry Kimtai, the Director General, Dr. Amoth, and all the officials from the ministry who have worked together with me on this issue. I also want to thank the Head of Public Service, who, under the Whole of Nation Approach Committee, has led us into these discussions, the Council of Governors, for their deliberate effort to ensure that we get a solution, and to my colleagues who have been besides me in all this. Equally, I want to appreciate the conciliators from the Ministry of Labor, together with KOTU and the Labor and Employment and Labor Relations Court, for stepping in and being patient with all of us as we went through this. To the families and patients who may have wondered when the strike will end, we understand your pain. There's no denying that this strike has caused a lot of anxiety and pain among the public, especially at a time like now when we were accelerating access to universal health coverage. However, I must in a special way applaud the many doctors who remained at work during this strike, and all other health care cadres, such as the nurses who kept our facilities operational, and of course, our community army of the community health promoters for their important role as first-line health workers at the community level. At such a time when the country is going through the flood crisis, with the deaths that we have experienced, with over the 40,000 households displaced, I can never appreciate the health workers enough, because this is the time now for us to work. Fellow Kenyans, and especially the health workers, the issue that led to this strike are systemic issues that precede the Kenya Kwanza government. And it is for this reason that I consistently emphasize that first, we must make an agreement that we can implement. And second, we must find a lasting solution to the perennial issues. I am confident that what we have signed on to today, having consulted widely, this is a deal that is going to be implemented